Hey guys, so this is going to be a video on summarizing informational text. So first thing we're going to do is look at an informational text, okay? It's called the internet boom. Today the internet is widely used in homes, schools, and businesses around the world. However, that hasn't always been the case. The internet was first developed in the 1960s and 1970s by US government scientists as a way of sharing information. The earliest version of the internet was called ARPANET for Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. In 1969, only 4 computers were connected to the ARPANET. Just 20 years later, though, as computers became more commonly developed, over 80,000 computers were connected. Use of the internet has continued to grow dramatically. Experts estimate that about 1% of the world's population used the internet in 1996. By 2016, that percentage grew to over 43%. How do researchers count more than 1 billion users? Programs called web crawlers browse the internet to monitor how many pages and users are out there. Web crawlers work automatically, collecting data once they are started. These programs are sometimes called spiders because they crawl around the web. As the internet continues to grow, an increasing number of spiders scurry invisibly, collecting and sending information 24 hours a day. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, guys, is use a method that I call delete, substitute, and keep, delete, and substitute. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to go through and decide, we're going to highlight information that we think has main ideas and details. Okay. So let's go with yellow to start with. Let's make our highlighter yellow. So today the internet is widely used in homes, schools, and businesses around the world. Do you think that that is a main idea? Is that related to what this is about? And I would argue that yes, it is. It's what this is about. Okay, so all right. However, that hasn't always been the case. Now, look at the title and notice it's called Internet Boom. And a boom is like when something, well, either explodes or grows very rapidly. So this is probably going to be about the growth of the internet. So the fact that that hasn't always been the case, I think that's also a key detail or main idea. Okay. Now, as we go on, we're going to draw lines through information that is unnecessary or unimportant or repetitive. Okay. And then we'll go through the last stage. I'll tell you what the last stage is. So the internet was first developed in the 1960s and 70s by US government scientists in a way of sharing information, as a way of sharing information. Now, that's important. That's interesting information. Here's the deal, though. Is that important? How it was developed, is that important for how it's grown? I would argue that it is not. It is not. So I'm going to cross this out. Okay. The earliest version of the internet was called ARPANET, the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. Is that information that you need to know? Is it like key to why it grew? Nope. Sure is not. So, in 1969, only 4 computers were connected to the ARPANET. And just 20 years later, though, as computers became more commonly developed, over 80,000 computers were connected. Well, this article is about the growth of the internet, so I would argue this is pretty important. So in 1969, only 4 computers were connected, but in 20 years later, over 80,000 computers were connected. Now, as computers became more commonly developed, well, that's what this whole thing is about. So we don't really need that information. It's already kind of stated. Okie dokie. Let's go into paragraph 2. Use of the internet has continued to grow dramatically. Well, that's kind of what this entire article is about. So that's a key idea. Main idea or a key detail. Experts estimate that about 1% of the world's population used the internet in 1996. By 2016, that was over 43%. I would argue that's pretty important. All right. There you go. Okay. Now, How do researchers count more than 1 billion users? So the next two paragraphs are about how the researchers count the users, and it's super interesting, but I don't know that it has all that much to do with how it's grown, right? The fact that people are being counted is not why there's more people. So I'd argue most of this is actually pretty unimportant. So, beep boop bop. Okay. Now, the next step is to substitute. And in the substitution step, we substitute general terms for specific terms. So for example, if it says animals and it's really rabbits, then we should say rabbits, that kind of thing. And if it says, I don't know, clothes, but it's really a shirt, then we should say shirt. Okay, sorry. Let's see if there are any. So today, the internet is widely used at homes, schools, businesses, and the world, though that's actually pretty specific, so there's nothing to replace there. That hasn't always been the case. In 1969, only 4 computers were connected. 20 years later, over 80,000 computers were connected. I'd actually kind of argue there's nothing that's vague there, so we don't need to replace anything there. We don't need to substitute anything there. Use of the internet has continued to grow dramatically. 1% of the world's population used the internet in 1996. In 2016, that number was 43%. So actually, in this case, I don't think there's anything to replace in those or to substitute. So the next thing is that we want to build a summary. So I'm going to give you, if you're doing this physically in the room, a list of sticky notes. And each of these sticky notes either has a direct quote or a paraphrase of information from the text. Okay. And you're going to determine either on your own, with me, or in a group, depending on what I've assigned for you, if each of these sticky notes is a main idea or supporting detail and needs to be in the summary. So I'm going to pause for a second so that if you're doing this in person with someone, you can review, or that you can do it. Okay, so while the video was off, you probably noticed that the sticky note that says U.S. government scientists developed the internet, that is part of what we crossed off, and it is not a key detail or a main idea. The internet is widely used in homes today. That is a main idea or a key detail. More spiders are around now. That's part of what we crossed out. It's interesting, but not a main idea or a key detail. Web crawlers work automatically. Same thing. We've crossed it out already. We deemed that it's important. It's interesting, but not important, not a key detail. By 2016, 43% of the world population was on the internet. Well, this entire article is about the growth of the internet, so this is important. Only 1% of the world population was on the internet in 1996. Again, this is about the change and the growth in the internet, so this is important. And you'll notice both of the last two things we've done were in the highlighted things that we did, or the part that we did earlier. Use of the internet has grown dramatically. Yep, that's what this is about. This might be like a main idea. By 1989, there were over 80,000 computers. Were on the internet. Well, this is about how many computers were on the internet and the growth of it. So, yep, that's an important detail, key detail. In 1969, only 4 computers were on the internet. Again, it's about the growth of the internet. So, yes, that is important. It was developed as a way of sharing information. Well, I don't even know what it is. I mean, I do. I know it's that ARPANET, the internet, but that's not very clear. Also, we've already said that how it was developed is not important. So it's not going to stay in our summary. The internet was developed in the 1960s and 70s. That's interesting, but not important to our summary. So now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 details that we're now going to put into into our summary chart. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open that document. our main idea chart, I should say. My apologies. Okay, so our title would be, we could do internet boom. We could do the growth of the internet, right? Internet boom. So that's kind of me stealing the actual title. So you can put something else if you want. Okay. Now, what's the main idea? That nobody ever uses the internet? No, that's not it. What's another is the main idea that there's a lot of people on the internet now? It's getting warmer, getting closer, but that's actually not it. And let's go over what the stickies that we have. The internet is used widely today. There's, I see lots and lots of numbers. Use of the internet has grown dramatically. And then everything else is numbers and years. So when we see numbers and years in our details, then that actually is a lot of times information that it's a key detail and not the main idea. So these four have specific numbers and years and numbers. So let's see if one of the other two would be a good main idea. We're left with the internet is widely used in homes today. That's true. That's for sure true. But again, this is more about like the growth of the internet. So let's see. Use of the internet has grown dramatically. Boom. I think that is a good main idea. That is clearly what this entire thing is about. So use of the internet has grown dramatically. Okay. All right. So we can put this one to the side. Now we need to add some main ideas, some supporting details. So we've got 4 facts left with years and numbers. And then we also have the internet is widely used in homes today. I actually feel like maybe we should reclassify this as, because it's not just used in homes and it's not just today. So maybe we should reclassify it as not so helpful. So now we've got 4 supporting ideas and details. Okay. So we could write each one into a supporting detail, or if they're at all related, and remember, sometimes related means opposites, but if they're at all related, we can combine them. So let's just see if any of them are related. So for example, these two. Only 1% of the world population was on the internet in 1996, and in 2016, 43% of the world population was on the internet. So these are about the percentage of the world population that's on the internet. I bet you we could combine them into one supporting detail if we wanted. You can kind of do that how you want, totally up to you. So in the 20 years between 1996 and 2016, the percentage of the world that was on the internet went from 1% to, what did we say, 43%. All right, there's lots of different ways you could write that, including you could write it in 2 sentences. Okay, I chose write it in 1. You could do it in 2. Boom, put these to the side. Now I have 2 last pieces of information. So in 1969, only 4 computers were on the internet, and by 1989, there were over 80,000 computers on the internet. So those are super related. So once again, you could put them in 2 separate sentences, or you could combine them into 1. I'm going to combine them because I just like to do it that way. So between 1969 and 1989, the number of computers on the on the internet went from 4 to over 80,000. And I look like I spelled something wrong. Oh yeah, I did. I spelled went wrong, y'all. Went. Went from 4 to over 80,000. Okay, boom, done with these 2. Now, the last thing to do is if I were to use these details, turn them into a paragraph, a summary paragraph, I might switch these 2 details around. This is totally stylistic, but the reason I might do that is just because this detail is talking about earlier on. It's talking about 1969 to 1989. And then this detail is talking about 96 to 2016. So it's I could put it in this order and then it would kind of be chronological. And then the numbers are also getting bigger. So to me, that makes sense. All right. I hope this helps. Bye, y'all.